This is Valley News Live at noon.
We have breaking news just into the Valley News Live newsroom. The Red River Women's Clinic filed a lawsuit today to block the enforcement of North Dakota's trigger ban, which would prohibit nearly all abortions in the state now that Roe v. Wade has been overturned. Attorney General Drew Wrigley says the trigger ban will take effect on the 28th, and that's when the clinic is expected to shut down. Once the trigger ban goes into effect, abortion providers could face a maximum of 5 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. Happening right now, family, friends, and fans are gathering for the funeral of Fargo racer Casey Arneson. Here's a live look outside of the Celebration of Life service. It started an hour ago at the Hope Lutheran Church in South Fargo. The 27-year-old died Friday in a UTV crash in Becker County. Condolences have poured in across the valley for Arneson, people mourning the loss of a genuine man and decorated racer. The Red River Valley Speedway calls Arneson a great person and an awesome wheelman. We have new information on the fate of a Fargo South High School English teacher. In a brief special meeting this morning, the Fargo School Board unanimously voted to approve the termination of Kevin Kennedy. This was the final step in a months-long investigation into misconduct and inappropriate behavior by Kennedy. 5 board members were in attendance. None opted for further discussion on the matter. And the board unanimously approved to discharge Kennedy. He will not receive any pay or benefits as of his suspension date, which was in early April. The district is also required to report Kennedy's discharge to the Education Standards and Practice Board. You can read the full investigative report on this case at valleynewslive.com or on the VNL News app. Turning our attention to the weather, meteorologist Nathan Hopper is tracking some storms that could affect your weekend plans. Let's go right away to Nathan. Nathan?
Yeah, thanks, JC. Tracking some storms for the weekend, also tracking some storms for this afternoon that could affect your weekend plans also. Looking from our Coronado Tower cam, seeing a few clouds here or there, but at this point we are quiet here across the metro. But temperatures have risen quickly here. We're in the low 80s there, Fargo. 82 in Wahpeton, 80 in Sisseton, still seeing those upper 60s there for our friends in Langdon, Devil's Lake, and 75 right now, that temperature in Grand Forks. Here's the satellite and radar imagery. We were watching this kind of cluster of storms and rain making its way out of Bismarck this morning if you were here with us for the Valley today, but now we're seeing that storm make its way further and further to the west. So we're seeing some rain indications there, Stutsman County, up and toward the Devil's Lake Basin, seeing some rain showers at this point and some rumbles of thunder there near Minot. But look at this, down toward the south, just into our South Dakota counties, we're seeing a line of some storms making its way through. There was a severe storm on there earlier, but that has been dropped. So still some heavy rain, some small hail, and some lightning with this one as it's heading its way toward Aberdeen, but also our friends in Edgeley, Allendale, starting to see some of that rain from this storm beginning as well. The latest update from the Storm Prediction Center has shifted that marginal risk of severe weather well to the west, but they've also now included Ellendale in that. So we're watching still the chance for some strong to possibly severe storms there in our far southwestern counties, but things quiet for most of us outside of those storm chances this afternoon. So JC will break that down hour by hour style and talk about the weekend in a few minutes.
All right, we'll check back with you in a little bit. Thank you, Nathan. Dramatic downfall. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced today he's stepping down as Conservative Party leader. Johnson took over in 2019 after Theresa May resigned, riding a wave of support following the Brexit vote. But this week, dozens of members of Johnson's government resigned amid a buildup of scandals, with many telling him it was time to go.
And I want you to know how sad I am to be giving up the best job in the world. But them's the breaks.
Came under fire after appointing Chris Pincher to a high government role. The Prime Minister says he forgot about sexual allegations against Pincher from 2019. It comes after Johnson and his members of his administration faced criticism for violating COVID lockdown rules and held parties, a scandal nicknamed Partygate. An escapee from Becker County is back in jail. 25-year-old Alexander Robert of Bemidji was arrested just before 10:30 last night after 6 hours on the run. Robert ran out of a courtroom yesterday afternoon after being sentenced to nearly 2 years in prison on an earlier escape charge. Deputies, police, and state troopers scrambled to find him, and he was finally located in Detroit Lakes and arrested without incident. Robert had posted bail on his previous charges and was not in custody during yesterday's court hearing. WNBA star Brittany Greiner pleaded guilty today inside a Russian courtroom to drug charges after cannabis oil was found in her luggage back in February. She says she didn't intend on breaking any Russian law and she was in a rush packing and the cartridges accidentally ended up in her bags. The athlete wrote a letter directly to President Biden where she says in part she is terrified she might be in Russia forever. The president responded with a phone call to Greiner's wife and told her he's working to ensure Greiner's release as well as all other releases of other U.S. nationals who are wrongfully detained or held hostage in Russia and around the world. In just a few hours, former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin will be sentenced for 20 to 25 years in federal prison for violating George Floyd's civil rights. It's part of a plea deal after Floyd died in police custody in May 2020. Chauvin is already serving a 22.5-year sentence for his conviction on state charges. Frontline workers in Minnesota are being urged to sign up for COVID bonuses. The deadline is about 2 weeks away. Eligible workers need to apply by July 22nd at 5 p.m. If your application is denied, there will be a 15-day period to appeal. Hundreds of thousands of workers who kept Minnesota running at the height of the pandemic are eligible for the bonus pay. So far, 900,000 have signed up. Coming up at noon, they say art is in the eye of the beholder, but at a new fine art museum, we'll tell you how the audience is a group you might not expect. But next, it's looking to be an unsettled and stormy weekend ahead. Meteorologist Nathan Hopper has details.